things I've kind of been researching lately and give you guys kind of my take. So just kind of going over my performance in these smart contracts. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a peek of that and show you guys kind of where I'm at. So yesterday I mentioned that I'm only in 3 contracts now, which is these 3 right here, Proof of Weak Hands, CG Now, and Gandhi. And I recently just sold half of what I had in CG Now, half of what I have in Gandhi, and I sold back basically like 500. I basically wanted to get to the 50th position in Proof of Weak Hands. And so you can see basically those are, where I sold out. And then these were the earnings that I made today based on, kind of where I'm at. And you can see like Gandhi is just like nothing, basically. Like it was only like 50 cents or so. So $40 in earnings there. And you can see that, I had some consistent earnings here for a while, several, between $100 to $200 days. And just recently it's kind of been dipping. And part of that has been just kind of a new phenomenon. If you're taking a look at kind of the smart contract space, I mean, everything's new on here, everything's new. You got all of these different, new projects that are coming up, just all these new. So, a lot of these farming games are really starting to take off, and, they're interesting. Like I have gotten into several of them. I got into Ether Shrimp, I got into the Ant Hills, Pepe, and Fish Farm, which I'm kind of regretting now because that one, even though it's 4th on DApp Radar, the Fish Farm, I pretty much essentially once I put money in there, I lost it. Like the contract is just going down. It's crazy that there's 2,300 daily active users in there. It was basically set up to be heavily botted. There's not a whole lot of people in that one. So, what's going on, Gandhi? Sham Master, Game Captain. Check out Proof of Donald Trump. Yeah, I've been looking in that a little bit. It seems like it's set up, very similar to like all of these other clones. And I'm not sure, for me personally, if that's going to be something that I'm going to be wanting to get into just yet, just based on the history that we've seen with a lot of these contracts. The contracts, for the most part, all of them have really, the volume has gone down, the balances have gone down, the daily active users have gone down, and I'm not really sure if it's going to be the right play moving forward, at least right now. I think that, like what we've been seeing here is, over the last month or two, I feel like there's been a lot more attention to the smart contract games and the things that are going on the Ethereum blockchain. And these smart contracts are, some of them can be profitable. Some of them you can do pretty well. Like the ones that tended, like the smart contracts that I got into at the beginning of this month. If you had gotten into them early and kind of sold out at the right time, you could have done pretty well. Right now, all of them are really kind of just dipping, and I'm not sure if it's going to be the right play right now. And so, like for me personally, like I'm going to be sitting on the sidelines, but I'm going to be keeping a close eye on these contracts. But I'm looking to get into some different things. I think I'm always going to be interested in some of the top trending projects on DApp Radar, but I think that you got to be a little careful about getting into some of these projects because they do have the potential for just not to perform well. And so I have several examples of that. Let's go over that a little bit. So I want to look at, I would say probably the biggest trending one, at least today, or today and yesterday, has been the Proof of Trevon James, because he recently got out and is now kind of getting into the Etheropoly game. You can see like Proof of Trevon James wasn't even around really, or wasn't one that a lot of people were in. and you can see like this was the volume in trading. So there was quite a bit of volume. It kind of had a time where it was doing really well, kind of in this mid-May time frame, and then pretty much everything really kind of dropped off. And the balance in that contract, as you can see, was in the 400s, and then kind of dipped into the 300s. Now it's below 100. There's been a few other contracts that really exploded, like ETH Phoenix. If you kind of look back in the history of that contract, was in like the 800s at one point, I believe in April, and it took a pretty serious hit. It was kind of stabilizing in the 200s, the 100s, but again, pretty much every single contract, if you're looking at at least the balances, they're all trending down right now, so that could change. But you can see like the big one, Proof of Weak Hands, has for 20 days straight. For 20 days straight, it's gone down in its balance. CG Now had a huge rise. It went up to like 180 or so at one point in the contract, was stabilizing around 100 or so, and now is right, it's kind of bottomed out at about 24, 25 ETH in the contract. Several of these other ones, they just kind of had a little bit of a rise. Apu is another example, up at 600, and now has really dropped down. So those types of contracts tend to have a little bit of momentum for a time, and then once people lose interest and you're not seeing people buy in, they tend to die. And it's too early to say like if some of those are going to come back, because they are immutable contracts. Like, they're not going away. Like, you're always going to be able to buy into those contracts as long as Ethereum is around. So we may see a resurgence in some of these. However, like, because of the number of different contracts, farming games, proof of whatever, there's so many on the market right now, and there are a lot of them. Like, if you get into them early, you can do pretty well. I'm not sure that's the same strategy with the farming games, because I had a few that didn't necessarily pan out as well by getting in early. There's so many. This one that was kind of trending that Trevon's been talking about lately is Etheropoly, which he's kind of getting into with the developer, Spider. But there was also the Halo 3D. Where's that at now? This was like 250 or so, and it's really kind of dropped down. So a lot of these farming games, you can see like they just don't have hardly anything in balance in those. And there's a kind of this new phenomenon with some of these ones near the top, like these three in particular. These are heavily botted right now. There's like hardly any Ethereum in those contracts, and they're just it seems to me like they're continuously getting drained. That trend might change, and I had a theory that because of the free accounts and the ability to kind of script things in there, that you may have you may have like a week or two time frame where people kind of it may not be good in that kind of initial period, but once maybe like the inflation gets to a point where the bots are not profitable in those contracts, you might see the bots essentially kind of go away, where it would actually be beneficial maybe to see the daily active users go down, and you might see that people will the Ethereum balance in those contracts, if people are buying into them, may remain pretty high. But like I just showed you here that like for today, I made just on those three contracts, which I'm not as invested in anymore, I only made like $40. But if we're taking a look at like the idle games, I'm still doing pretty well on those. And so I kind of made a separate spreadsheet. This is kind of rough, but this is kind of my performance with these, and I'm kind of documenting these. And you can see this is the price per 0.01 in the ETH shrimp game, and you can see the hyperinflation. Like, you can see that the price is just continuously going up. However, you know, like if I total up like all my dividend earnings, that's you know, 4.6 ETH. So it like, you know, and just this morning, like I cashed out, like I woke up this morning and these are all the accounts that I cashed out. So basically I cashed out 0.16 ETH, 0.12 ETH, 0.04 ETH, and then, you know, almost 0.1 in basically in Fish Farm, Pepe Farm, Ant Hills, and Ether Shrimp. So I'm doing better in terms of the dividend reward earnings that I'm getting. Like I think like I've essentially made like, what is that? Let me total this up real quick. I mean, so like I've been cashing out, you know, pretty regularly. So like I cashed out like right before I went to bed, and you know, while I was sleeping, and those contracts were going, I made a third of an ETH. So it's roughly about $200. So for me right now, like I'm still doing pretty well in those contracts. I'm still making some, and I'm those are performing better than like the proof of contracts. So I think that those ones are doing pretty well, and I think that's why. Like I think a lot of people are doing pretty well, and there's kind of an initial excitement when you get into these contracts, because your first 24 hours in those contracts are going to be your most profitable by far because of the hyperinflation of them. So when people are putting money into them, you know, you're putting a little bit into those contracts, and you can actually see your reward earnings. So you can see, like, basically since this morning, you know, I've got another, you know, 0.06 ETH in there, and in the farms game. In either Ant Hills, I got another 0.04, and Pepe, you know, 0.01. My Fish Farm ones is just terrible. But like that right there, I mean, that's 0.1 ETH. So, you know, since I basically, you know, since I cashed out this morning and just refreshed those games, and, you know, in the last, what's it been, like 3 hours or so, 3-4 hours, I've made, you know, 0.1 ETH, which is, you know, roughly about $70 or $80. So let me check on the chat a little bit. Shrimps, drugs, and crocs. Oh, what is the site you need to input the graphs and generate? Yeah, let's go over that a little bit. It is, so I forgot to put the link in the description. I'll put that in after the stream. But it's this SeanTabrizi.com and then ETH graph. You have to put in the ETH graph, because if you put in just this, it just goes to his main website. But this is a guy, a developer, and this is really helpful. And what you need to do, you can put in the contract address. You can put in any contract address. One little tip is you can just delete this on the end block and graph balance, and that's going to refresh it. And so you can see here, like this is the shrimp game. So you can see like the shrimp balance has been in a kind of decline. Looks like it's maybe bottomed out or so, maybe around 40. We'll see if that trend continues. You know, again, I think that the daily active users in the shrimp game, what was interesting was like the shrimp farm game wasn't on DApp Radar this morning. I actually put a message in Discord, and there were some theories it was like it got removed or something, you know, but it's back on here. But the daily active users has gone way down, which is, in my opinion, is a good sign. So, you know, you can see like these are not real numbers. Like, you know, these are bots, and those are gonna be harder to, like, it's hard to say how many of those are real, how many of those are, you know, just people, you know, opening up multiple free accounts and maybe doing some sort of strategy within the system. Yeah, I have to reinvest until bots die off to keep up with inflation. I think, like I've been reinvesting a little bit. So like yesterday I did like 50% re-up, and the thing is like I put in 4.18 ETH, and then, like, you know, I just recently got my capital back, and then I took, like, it was like you can show you here, it's 0.12. So this line right here was my like 50% re-up. So basically what I did was 0.12. That's the price right there, and this was like 50%. So 0.12 ETH. I was able to reinvest and kind of bring that number back up. Same thing, here, like I put in not even 0.1 ETH, and you can see there. And this other metric that I'm kind of documenting this is the balance in the contract, the ETH balance in the contract. This is the daily active users, and you can see the ratio here. So like the ratio is continuing to go down. So this is a very encouraging sign for the ETH shrimp farm. And you can see like it's kind of gone up with the Anthills game. Like and that part of that is because there's just not a whole lot of ETH in that contract. The Pepe farm game seems to be a little bit better. There's not as many, it's not as botted as the other contracts. But taking a look at Fish Farm, like Fish Farm's ridiculous. Like 700 is the ratio. It kind of came down a little bit, and now it's like back up. So, and there's like no ETH in that contract just because the bots are just pretty much draining anything that's in there. So to me, that was pretty much a loss. So like, I'm kind of like getting into a situation where I'm basically at a break even. I'm making money in some contracts, I'm losing money in other contracts, and overall, I'm probably at about break even, or maybe made a little bit. I mentioned this in my stream before that I'm thinking that it might be a better strategy to maybe get into the altcoins. Like I started doing that. Basically a few months, like March and April, that was kind of more of my focus, was kind of getting into the altcoins and kind of getting into some different projects, getting into like mining projects and whatnot. And I basically kind of took this month out to basically explore these decentralized apps because there's been a lot of interest in them. Because there's been a lot of people that have done really well in them. There's others that haven't. It's a zero-sum game. All of these are, for the most part, a zero-sum game. And there's going to be some winners, there's going to be some losers. So there's still opportunity in these platforms, but I think with a lot of these new contracts, like I think I want to wait until maybe I see something with where the Ethereum balance gets up over like 100 ETH, because right now none of them are anywhere close to that. We haven't seen a farming application go over 100 ETH. So let's look at some of the ones that do have quite a bit of balance. So you can see Proof of Weak Hands is getting really close to dropping below 5,000. You can see here the two decentralized exchanges, IDX and Fork Delta, near the top. These casino games, these Ether roll games, seem to be really interesting. This is another exchange. I don't know about this Ether Bots or the ETH Town, the Kitties, Crypto Punk. I don't know much about all these ones, but you can see like there's all of these new things that are near the top on DApp Radar, where we were seeing all new, all these different things that are in the top of the rankings, but none of them are in the tops when it comes to the balance. The first one would be this Halo 3D project. So. I think the graphing one is really interesting. Let's take a little bit more of a look at that. So this is the Anthills game. So kind of came up and it's come down a little bit. This next one, this was the Pepe game. So I'm going to refresh this. So it's just, all of them have kind of been on a downward trend. So that's a little bit again. You can see the site address, SeanTabrizi.com, ETHgraph. Yeah, I'll put a link in the description below after the stream. But I think for me, like I'm basically kind of stepping back a little bit from these projects and kind of minimizing, how much I'm putting in there, and maybe maybe for at least for the time being, maybe getting a little bit more into altcoins. And but if I see a project, if I see something that looks intriguing, you know, I might kind of, you know, get back in again. I'll show you guys kind of how that does. Imagine the ETH value and daily dividends if there were no clones whatsoever and everyone just huddled together in P3D. It would be well above 30,000 ETH. No one losing money, everyone happy. Sure. You know, I think that, you know, the rise that we saw in proof of weak hands, let me bring that up. So we saw it hit like 20,000 in April, and it's been in a little bit of a downward trend. Let me get my internet to work here. So these are some of the charts. Let's zoom this out a little bit. So this was that drop where we hit 20,000, you know, kind of came up, but it has been in kind of a perpetual state of decline. There, like this is kind of when I got in, was kind of in this ramp up that we saw. I thought we were going to see a little bit of a bounce, and maybe we were going to see a little bit of a, you know, kind of like a double dip in a way, so it was going to come back, but it hasn't been the case. It's holding its value, you know, fairly well. You know, like it, you know, I think I got in when the balance was roughly around 6,000 or 7,000. It's, you know, it kind of went up to like 9,000 or so and came back down. Now it's 5,000. It's hard to say kind of what's going to happen with the FOMO 3D project. I did want to show you guys kind of an announcement that was in the about the FOMO 3D project. So this was this morning. They're finishing the auditing, looking up to brand new shiny FOMO 3D. Means there'll be internal testing. So they're going to be putting it on some sort of mass test net. So you're like recruiting gladiators. You're building an army, and it's kind of like it seems to me like they're setting it up as a battle royale. And if you win, you can win a lot. You can win. You can like the prize is going to be really high. Gandhi will take off in the next 24 hours. I sure hope so. The volumes have just been really down and gone, and that's been the concerning, you know, the concerning thing for me with the Gandhi project. Is there's just it seems to be in a little bit of a dry spot right now. Like, let's see if I can bring that up. Yeah, so you can see here, like the volumes. I'm gonna highlight this here for you guys. You know, the volumes were kind of in the teens or so. You know, kind of in that mid-May time frame. This is May 17th. It dropped off. I forgot to kind of get it here on the 18th. It's been a 0.5, and if we check in today and look at kind of where it's at, let's sort these. Gandhi. Here, I mean, you know, you can see it's 0.68, you know, not even an ETH in volume. So I think most of that was me too, because I basically I halved my stack. So I was holding about 2,000 tokens here, and now I've got 1,000. But you can see, like, I really haven't made anything. You know, I made 57 cents today. So, people, what do you think about people building games on top of games now? Yeah, like that's kind of the Etheropoly concept. It's basically combining like a like some of these proof of contracts with a an idle game on top of it. So I think that those are going to be maybe a next wave or a next development. I feel like there's going to be something else that comes out. I mean, I guess like one of the issues, the main issue with the idle games is the hyperinflation. And when I first got in, like I could kind of see it, but it was so new because like it came out, I think it was like on the 14th, and I got in on like the 16th or 17th roughly. And it's, I noticed that the prices were going up, and I didn't know how to track it, or I was trying to track it to basically figure out how I should buy, sell, or reinvest depending on kind of what I'm seeing. And I had to kind of bring some, I had to kind of take whatever data I could gather to kind of make those determinations. And so, like, I'm looking at, the balance, the ETH balance, looking at daily active users, looking at the price when I'm selling out. But one thing I noticed is, right off the bat, and a lot of people may have not noticed this when they first got in, is it's not a contract. The idle games are not a contract, in my opinion, that you can get into and wait 24 hours and kind of check your account. Like, that's what I'm doing with these proof of games. Like, with the idle games, like, you got to be in there. You got to be in there a lot more. If you're in there a lot more, you can do well. Like, I think that's something. It's like if you can get into those games, or you can get into the idle games, and you can withdraw like every 2, 4, 6 hours or whatever, just to prevent the hyperinflation from really taking away from your balance. I think that's a good play. Like, I think there was a little bit of people that were kind of mentioning that, well, hey, if people buy in, or this happens, that happens, like the price is going to go down, where it's going to kind of even out. But that hasn't been the case. I mean, it's been hyperinflating like crazy, like pretty much 10x in 24 hours at one point. It seems to have slowed down a little bit, and I think the reason it's slowing down is because the bots are starting to go away, and so we'll just have to check back in with this in a week. But one of the things I like to do is I'll have like I'm monitoring like the contract balance. So like I have the ETH shrimp farm here, and I have the contract. You can see like 38.4, and I'll just constantly kind of refresh these. And see 37. So like here's the Anthills game. Here's the contract. We're sitting at 836. Like I just refreshed this not too long ago. So 8.36, now it's at 8.07, okay? Here's the Pepe farm right here. Here's ETH in that balance, 4.91, let's refresh, 4.58. And like, I literally just refreshed these like not too long ago, like not too long ago at all. So these ones, like the ETH is getting drained from all these contracts right now. Now, if they return, if the hyperinflation makes the bots go away, and you can buy in at a really cheap price, and then more people start to invest and they get into it, that could potentially make these worth getting into. And so like it's still something that's kind of new to kind of take a look at. So the one in the yellow behind me. Oh yeah, she's working up at the front. That one? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool place to kind of see. Nice little farm. Like a nice little spot here in the city. This is a cool street. Like if you come out here, like there's, I was really close to getting an apartment on this street. There's a lot of restaurants, a lot of cafes, a few bars, things like that. It's pretty dense. There's a lot of people live here. So what are the alts you looking at? Yeah, let's get into that. Because like, I mean, I pulled out a lot of ETH lately. So I'm sitting on maybe 10K in ETH or something. I'm gonna start dumping it into all these coins. These are the coins I'm gonna be getting into, or I'm gonna be looking at. So I got some hot. Like that was my original plan, and you can see like I didn't stick with that plan. Obviously, it was just too much kind of going on. Hot, VeChain, Matrix. These two I really like. Matrix AI, PundiX. I've mentioned that a few times. EOS, Deo, Vertasum. Like, and that's I guess that may have been a mistake on my part, because like let's take a look at the markets here, because had I gotten into these in May, when, which was kind of my original plan, was to basically take, and that was also kind of like a hedge, like maybe I lose some money in getting into some of these games, but I'm taking the dividend earnings and I'm putting it into different altcoin projects. So, well, Matrix AI is roughly about where it's at. So you can see here at the beginning of the month, it was roughly about $1, and it came up at one point, to about $1.50. Now it's kind of back down at $1. Ask her if she wants Crypto Chadwick. This PundiX though, let's look at this one. It's been a little bit down today, but this one really took off. May 1st? Yeah, you can see like it was like half a cent. About half a cent, and now it's at basically like 1.2. So it's gone up like 3x or so. The volume's really encouraging. Seeing a lot of trading, and again, like seeing a lot being traded in IDEX. Let's take a look at IDEX. Still at the tops of the charts there. It's trading these three right here. This one, I don't know much about this one. The Zebi is another good one. But I think I'm going to be getting into several of these coins and doing a little bit of trading and kind of getting back into that a little bit more. I think for June, maybe when I do like my June vlog or whatever, I'm gonna focus on programming, because I'm going to be taking a course in that. Kind of getting more into like writing smart contracts and things like that. I'll probably get a little bit into the smart contract space, but I think I kind of want to step back from that a little bit and minimize my exposure to it. I know for like the last 20 days, like I've really been focusing on these smart contracts, and part of it's just because it's just been like there's been so much activity, and I wasn't really anticipating that. I wasn't anticipating all of these different contracts coming up. Like when I got in, it was pretty much, it was Proof of Weak Hands, it was Poo, ETH Phoenix, Locked In. Like I was just in those four. And ETH Phoenix and Locked In, it was really just kind of like an experiment, because it wasn't really a whole lot of other contracts that were trending at all. So like I went with two of the older ones just to kind of show a little bit of like the history of kind of how these things performed. Now with ETH Phoenix and Locked In, like they kind of were in that first wave, where they kind of rose and they came down, and you can see that they've really leveled off, and they're just not doing any volume. There is developments in these projects though. Like I can't say that they aren't a bad investment really. Like the Locked In one is actually really interesting. Like if you look at the Locked In Discord chat, like they've actually got they've got a lot of different things that they're doing to kind of drive volume in the contract, and part of it is like some of the, I don't know, see if I can find it here. But there was I don't know if I'm going to find it. There was they're getting involved with some different projects, like doing like lottery type things and like different gambling things to kind of, just different tactics to kind of get people to drive volume into those contracts. And I think that's going to be kind of the thing that's happening. However, it can be difficult. It can be difficult to kind of get the traction to, and the advertising or the marketing to convince people to want to put money into these contracts, especially kind of with just the volatility that we've seen. Like these have been hyper volatile compared to the altcoin markets. The altcoin markets have really been, in a lot of ways, pretty steady. And this time last year, that wasn't necessarily the case. Again, like this time last year, everything was very volatile. All the altcoins are volatile. Right now, the altcoins are, for the most part, they're not too bad. Just looking at the market, you take a look at CoinMarketCap, there's very few that are like in double-digit percentages changes in the last 24 hours. It's pretty stable. Everything here in the top 20. I mean, how far do we got to go down to get a coin? Here it's the first one, this OX one. So the top 30 coins aren't moving a whole lot. Creeping from across the world. You guys want me to go and talk to the hostess? She probably doesn't speak English very well. This is Vietnamese coffee right here. So you can see, like, this is kind of how they do coffee in Vietnam. I actually really don't like the coffee here because, like, you can't get like a cup of coffee like you'd get in America. Like, they don't sell that anywhere, which is really strange to me. Like, that they don't sell that coffee, Have you got your investments back in any of the farm projects? Yeah, I'm in the profit on the shrimp farm game. I'm very close. Ether Anthills. Ether Anthills, like, I'll probably be in profit in Ether Anthills by tomorrow. I'm saying, like, I'm at like 3.08, and I put in 3.5 ETH into that one. Yeah, put 3.5 ETH into the Ether Anthills game. So I just need another 0.4 ETH, so I'm on pace to get that by tomorrow. So those two, which I put the most money into, I'm going to be getting my investment back on that. Let's look at Pepe Farm. Pepe Farm, I've gotten half an ETH back. So Pepe Farm, I'm halfway back. Fish Farm, I'm just writing off as a loss. Like, how much have I made? I made 0.12 ETH and the Fish Farm one. So I got screwed on that one. But, take it as a lesson. Take my losses as a lesson. Shit. Spilled this all over the place. Like, this is coffee. Like, there's barely any coffee. It's like a shot of coffee. So, I tell you what, though. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but this is dragon fruit. And they have dragon fruit that is that's like red. I tell you what, I don't think there's another fruit in the world that I like more than like the red dragon fruit. It is so delicious. Even the white one is really good. Like you could maybe compare like a Georgia peach in America. Like a Georgia peach, like a fresh peach, might be, to me, like one of the best tasting fruits you can eat in America. I would rather eat like the red dragon fruit as opposed to that. Like it's become my favorite fruit. Like I eat so many of them if I have them around. Like they're just so good. And I didn't know anything about dragon fruit before I came here. Big boss coming behind me. I'm learning Python, writing my own trading bot. Yeah. Oh, what language are you thinking about learning? Solidity. Like I already have a little bit of background in C++, Java. So I got a little bit of background in it, but basically I'm going to kind of start from scratch with Ivan on Tech's course, and I'm going to be vlogging about that every day as well, letting you guys know about that. doing a little, like kind of stepping back a little bit from the Ether games. Like I'm going to continue kind of reporting on the ETH games until the end of the month, just to kind of just stay consistent with that. And then, but I'm going to be getting more into altcoins. How long will you stay in Saigon, and what is your next place to go? I'm going to be going to the Philippines in a month. I'm going to be doing an ayahuasca session in the Philippines. So there's like, if you want to do ayahuasca, I don't know, most of you guys, maybe not all you guys know a whole lot about it, but it's basically like a drink or a brew, and it activates the pineal gland in the brain, and it's a pretty powerful experience. I did it for the first time in California. It's not really, it's kind of in a weird legal limbo. Like it's not necessarily like illegal, but it's not necessarily legal. So people are kind of hush hush about it. But man, it was a pretty transformative experience going through that. And I've been looking for it out here in Asia. It's really hard to find in Asia because like drugs or if you're looking at it as a drug or just any like stuff, it's very, very difficult to find in Asia. It's a different kind of climate. They have it in here in the Philippines, so I'm going to be going out there because I got to renew my visa, and I'm going to be going out there for like a week, spending a week in the Philippines, and then I'm coming back to Vietnam, and then I'm going to be in Vietnam for another month, and I got to go to Seattle for my brother's wedding in August, and then my plan is to come back to Vietnam and kind of go from there. Yeah, I really want to go to South America. That was my whole thing, like that I wanted. Like I've been wanting to go to South America and do ayahuasca in Peru for like 5 years, like a long, long time. And then when I went down to California, I was working with those guys, building trading bots and working on their platform. And I was kind of telling them about it, and they're like, "Hey, well, they do it, over here at Indian Canyon." And so I was like, so I went out there, and it was great. Big crowd though. I mean, there was like 70 people in the session that I did. Like this one I'm going to be doing in the Philippines. I think I'm like, I might be one of the only people doing it. So it's going to be a much more kind of like a private ceremony. You ever tried chewing coca leaf powder? No. Betel nut increases dopamine release. Okay, I'll have to look into that. Betel nut, I don't know much about that. Got some guys on my stream with the same interests as me. That's good. And at least know what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at Electroneum. From 12 minutes. Okay, I saw that video. It's been trending a lot. I haven't watched it yet. I'll take a look at that, Gandhi. Here's Electroneum. This has been on my radar. I'm not sure if I have some or not. I have to check my accounts because I mean, I've got all of my crypto spread across like, as I mentioned, like 10, 15 different exchanges. And I think it was in March when I started doing a lot of altcoin reviews and things like that. And I'm going to get back into doing that. But this is one that I thought it's worth putting a little bit into. Let's take a look at the markets. Cryptopia. I like Cryptopia. Cute coin. So, oh, you're in Seattle? Yeah, I'll be heading back there August. Seattle's been getting crazy, man. They just put that tax, the homeless tax. And a lot of people have been talking about that on my social media. Like I can't believe that they're doing that. Like Amazon's gonna leave. It's so fucking stupid. All the big companies, Amazon, like all of them are gonna move out of Seattle. the amount of money that they're trying to charge, and they're throwing the money at the homeless situation, and like they keep throwing more and more money at the homeless situation. The problem only gets worse and worse and worse. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's better out on the east side. I used to live out kind of Bellevue, Redmond. Yeah, but Seattle's becoming a shit show. Oh, you're in Everett? I got some Seattle people on here, some Washington people. Everett's booming. Everyone's moving to Everett and Renton. Those are the two places with the biggest increase. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys staying online, checking out. I'll get on tomorrow. I'll look into some things and give you guys my thoughts. See you guys on the next one.